Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again. Good afternoon. I'm here to talk about the Ohio House of Horrors. Let's get into it.
We're learning more about the Siders family in Ohio, the children who were found in the home, and what family members of the mother of the children are saying after the arrest. Plus, the attorney for one of the family members is here.
We don't have all of the evidence. We don't have anything that's showing that these kids were locked in a basement or anything of that nature. This is not what people are trying to portray.
Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. It's been nearly a week since sheriff's deputies and state agents went into a home in rural Ohio to execute a search warrant and found 16 children in a room that was described as filthy. Those 16 children are the daughters and sons of Gary Lee Siders Jr. and Elizabeth Siders. They are facing 16 counts of child endangering, and Gary Jr.'s parents, Gary Siders Sr. and Christina Siders, are facing the same charges. The state's attorney general, the Benton County prosecutor, and the sheriff described the conditions in the home as filthy with feces and bugs in the 12 by 12 room where they say these children were kept. Take the next step in treating your moderate to severe ulcerative colitis with Entyvio, the only gut-focused treatment for you. These children were kept.
So many children. Yeah. So I mean, we're talking. This is very. It was terrible. I mean, they really. They looked like almost feral animals. It was terrible. So we're talking reading and writing and education. We're talking a whole.
The children range in age from 1.5 to 18. 2 were taken to level 1 trauma centers. The others were treated and released from a number of hospitals and then placed in foster homes. The home on Omer Street is roped off by crime scene tape to keep people out. The sheriff isn't commenting on what crime law enforcement was investigating when they went to the home on June 30th to execute that search warrant. And the documents related to it are sealed. It's only been referred to as a parallel investigation. But there are a lot of questions about how a family of 4 could keep children hidden away from the world, and why. The sheriff says there were 16 children in that house. Records from Mason County, West Virginia, show that Gary Jr. and Elizabeth Russell were married on March 31st, 2008. Court documents show the couple had a child a short time later on May 30th, 2008. Now you might be wondering, why would Elizabeth and Gary Jr. go to West Virginia to get married? Well, in Ohio, you have to be 18 to get married. You can be 17, but you have to have parental consent and then meet a bunch of other strict guidelines.
I'll be right back.
A lot of hoops. Elizabeth Siders was 15 when she married Gary Siders Jr. Court records show that Elizabeth Siders was pregnant nearly every year from 2008 through 2025. She had children in 2008, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2016, 2017, 2019, 2020, and then twins, it appears, in 2022, 2024, and 2025. There may have been more children born to the couple in that time that were stillborn. I'm still working to actually confirm that information. Law enforcement said the Siders moved from county to county and even spent time in Wisconsin. And I've learned that Children's Services may have visited the family in one Ohio county, but then the Siders moved, I'm told, to keep the children from being taken away from them. The Siders, according to the sheriff, have lived in the house on Omer Street in Benton County for the last 4 years. Elizabeth Siders doesn't appear to have social media accounts, but Gary Jr. does. On June 5th, 2014, Gary Siders posted on Facebook, "This is Elizabeth. I don't want anyone putting pictures of me on Facebook, everyone. If you have any pictures of me on here, please take them off of here." Elizabeth's mother wanted to have contact with her daughter. She even wished her a happy birthday in 2020. Elizabeth's mom wrote, "Happy birthday to my daughter Elizabeth. It's hard to believe my youngest is 28 today. Love you, Mom and Dad." The photo she posted of Elizabeth shows her with much lighter hair, and she looks healthier. We don't know the date that photo was taken. Another family member posted these photos of Elizabeth, claiming she took them when Elizabeth was 13. That was the last time that family member said that she actually saw Elizabeth. Now, this raises a lot of questions. How was a 15-year-old girl able to run off with a guy who's 3 years older than she is?
Yeah,
and get married?
how?
And why? Elizabeth's brother,
And why?
Jeremy, posted on Facebook on June 30th, "My sister just wrapped her life up due to indoctrination. It is 100% real. 20 kids and younger than me. The math equals immature piece of you-know-what man involved. I met this dude a couple of months ago, shook my hand like a baby would. Super soft hands. Definitely never worked a day in his life. I should have took him out that night. I was thinking about it, but my sister, I was happy to see. Been 15 years. You lost touch with your family, followed another. Look what happened." Now, I reached out to Jeremy Russell, but at the time of this recording, I haven't heard back from him. On Sunday, Jeremy was got a lot of Facebook investigators. LOL, you're in for a ride. I've been telling you all. My remorse? I don't care. I really don't. That's sad. I tried many times. Asked my ex. She knows. I was the one harassing. I love my sister. However, everyone knew about it. I told everyone. Welfare supporters to the maximum. So state knows something. I don't get it. Just leave me alone. So Elizabeth's brother claims that everyone knew about the children. To what extent they knew about them and the conditions they were living in isn't clear. But he's also implying that the state, or at least Children's Services, which is called Job and Family Services, knew something about the children.
Did you have the opportunity to read that complaint?
All four Siders face second-degree felony child endangering charges, including the grandparents, Gary Siders Sr. and Christina Siders. They've pleaded not guilty to the charges. When the arrests were made last week, law enforcement said the children hadn't been to school and couldn't read or write. The oldest couldn't spell her name. But one of Elizabeth Siders' brothers is disputing that his oldest nieces are illiterate, even posting screen grabs from social media accounts attributed to them. Joey Russell posted on Facebook, "I thought my nieces couldn't read or write. These are messages between her and her ex-boyfriend. He says they had to break up because of her neighbor Mike. He sent proof of everything. The lies need to stop. The speculation needs to stop. Clearly the neighbors knew. Clearly she could read, write, and speak. We just want the damn truth. Praying day and night for my nieces and nephews." Now, how the teenage girls were able to post on social media isn't clear. Did they have phones, an iPad, a laptop? We don't know. Then another family member posted on Facebook on the 4th of July, "Well, part of me wonders if she," meaning Elizabeth, "wasn't mentally conditioned to think this was okay. The mom in me knows it doesn't matter because there's absolutely no excuse for dragging your kids or any human through your BS to this degree. In my opinion, she's guilty to an extent simply because she is an adult. The justice system will handle the situation however it sees fit. I'm cool with that, but I feel like this also needs to be said. Lots of people failed those babies, and they continue to fail lots of others all over and keep the pattern continuing by not intervening when things aren't quite right. Kind of like see something, say something, or even, see something, do something. People all over the USA right now keep saying, "Oh my God, how did this even happen?" Most people can't fathom, and I really wish I could. Generational poverty, deeply embedded trauma, mental illness, and systemic failure by other family and community members, all mixed into one big horrible mess. While the parents and grandparents of the children are in jail facing serious felony charges, Gary Siders Jr. also faces 4 misdemeanor counts of public indecency. Court records state that Gary Siders Jr. did recklessly expose his private parts under circumstances in which his conduct was likely to be viewed by an affront of others who are in Gary Siders' physical proximity and who are not members of his household. Now, these alleged incidents happened 4 times between May 23rd and May 31st, according to court documents. Gary Jr. has pleaded not guilty to those charges and the child endangering charges.
How do you plead? Yes, I will enter a not guilty plea for you at this time then, and you can confer with counsel. Okay? Mr. Siders, would you like me to enter a not guilty plea for you as well? Until you have the chance to speak with an attorney? I will do that.
So let's turn now to Dorian Bao. He is an attorney representing Gary Siders Sr., that is the grandfather in this family. Dorian, thanks so much for coming on. You haven't met with your client yet. Tell me a little bit about why, and have you even been able to speak with Gary Siders Sr. on the phone?
Yeah, thanks. Again, thanks for having me. So, unfortunately, because of the holiday weekend, the jail was actually not permitting people to come in and visit with inmates. That includes attorneys. So the first opportunity, and that actually includes today as well. So unfortunately, the first opportunity we'll have to meet with Mr. Siders will be tomorrow. So my intent is to get down there as soon as possible tomorrow.
Your client, along with his family members, is facing, 16 felony counts, second-degree felonies of child endangering. It's been described
Tap screen, please. Tap screen.
The sheriff, I believe, said there were feces all around. There were flies on the kids. The sheriff said livestock are kept better than these children. What is your response to that?
Well, I would say there's multiple responses. The first one, I do want to clarify for anyone who might be seeing this. They're currently facing a complaint with 16 charges, which is actually an amended complaint from an original complaint that was 17 charges. And that complaint, in the state of Ohio, you have the right to a grand jury proceeding, whereby you have to present facts to a grand jury, and a grand jury will return an indictment if they think there's probable cause. So at this point, they're facing criminal charges in a complaint, but that is not what the state can proceed forward on if they were to go to trial. So first and foremost, the state still already has that extra hurdle to get over. Now, naturally, getting past the grand jury hurdle is not always that difficult, but it's not unusual for a complaint to show a certain number of charges or degree of charges, and then once they get to the grand jury, it becomes something vastly different. So we'll have to see what happens when we get to the grand jury. That's the first thing. The second one is...
And that's Extra Absorbent, even for your messiest meals. Vanity Fair napkins. Elevate every day.
He's got pain and places to be. Help is on the way.
But that's a really low bar. It's probable cause.
Absolutely.
Is the bar in a grand jury.
It's a low bar, but to say that I haven't seen no bills or that you've seen charges at the complaint stage as felonious assault, for instance, that by the time you get to a grand jury, maybe it's only aggravated assault, which is 2 full degrees less. So you're right, it is a low bar, but to say it's not a bar at all would not be correct. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the state has provided what can only be described as a modicum of the evidence. We have gotten so little from the state at this point. As has been reported, we've already filed for discovery. We're asking the state to provide it to us. I've had some minimal communications with the state, but from what I've seen, to be perfectly blunt, when I see a press conference where the state AG is making these hyperbolic, extravagant statements about what he saw, where the sheriff is talking about livestock, is just simply, it's beyond disingenuous, frankly. It appears to me, from what I understand, that these people are really just trying to criminalize poverty and an extremely impoverished family. As many people in the media have already noted and have already discovered, the kids who have been described as feral, been described as illiterate, it's my understanding that as the internet does what it does, it's come out that these older kids had social media pages, Facebook pages, Snapchat pages, which speaks to a couple of things. Number one, if they're so illiterate, how are they posting things online? Number two, if these are kids who are trapped in this place, how are they able to have... Typically, when you see cases where people are trapped or they're not allowed to go do things freely, they're not given internet access, they're not given social media pages. Furthermore, I have seen the inside of this house. I'm pretty sure that the state AG did not see the inside of this house, because when he was making these descriptive statements about what he saw or what he smelled, I'm going to go ahead and guess that he was getting that secondhand from a number of people. And I think for him to come out and again make these hyperbolic statements without himself being...
Sir, you was outright lying right now.
Well, the AG said he was outside the house. He didn't go in. What have you seen of the inside of the house? Because we're just seeing the photos that were taken, they're press photos from the outside of the house. And obviously it does look like it might be a little bit unkept, a little, it looks dirty. But what have you seen that you are disputing the characterization of the 12 by 12 room and the feces and everything where these kids were kept?
So again, unfortunately, because of the very preliminary stage of the game, everything.
This guy is so full of shit.
Which means I can't actually disclose full details of what I've seen. I can, however, say that I believe the characterization is overblown. I think when you describe that the outside was certainly unkept, or
sir, that's not dirty. That's a biohazard.
Dirty, I think people can look at the pictures for themselves and see that, but it's not illegal for something to be dirty. It's not illegal for a home to be unkept. If so,
it is illegal for a house to be a biohazard,
charge they're facing if simply
which the house was. The house itself was a biohazard.
For a second-degree felony, child endangering. So, they have quite the burden, I think, to show what they have been describing in their various news conferences and presses, etc. And I think having some pictures of a place being dirty is not going to cut it.
Well, they said they were in a 12 by 12 room, though, with feces and flies all over the place. So, I mean, that's pretty gross. And 2 of them were taken to a level 1 trauma center. So that's pretty serious. I know the other children were treated and released from area hospitals.
That's right. And so, again, that at this point, we haven't gotten any documentation to show where they've been taken with the basis for their hospitalization.
The prosecutor is about to smoke this defense lawyer. I have no clue where they got this defense lawyer, but this defense lawyer is about to get smoked.
If in fact they were hospitalized, I don't know what the status is of these children, because again, the state hasn't shared that information with us. There was clearly a lot of children there, and I'm not going to come out here and suggest that I know exactly what was going on there, because I don't, and that's really the main point, of course, isn't it? That none of us were there, none of us were living there. The state did, I will say this, to his credit, Prosecutor Archer, who is the county prosecutor down there, was very specific in saying that this was not an alleged trafficking case. But there's rumors that are flying everywhere about what was going on with these kids, what was happening to these children, whether there was other specific bits of abuse going on. And to date, I've seen no actual hard evidence to show there was any specific abuse that was being done to these children. Again, whether the question is that these children were in a home that was dirty and that rises to the level of child endangering, whether it rises to a certain felony level, that's something the state's going to have to prove, obviously, beyond a reasonable doubt. But, I wasn't in this home. I personally wasn't in this home, and that's why I'm not going to speak to what it smelled like or looked like specifically. But we don't have all of the evidence. We don't have anything that's showing that these kids were locked in a basement or anything of that nature. This is not what people are trying to portray as a case where these kids were, chained in the basement or something like that, something extravagant like you might see in a horror film. It wasn't that. That wasn't the situation, as far as my understanding. So I think again,
tap the screen, please. Please tap the screen.
So your client, Gary Siders Sr., we saw him when he was in court for his initial appearance, and he was in a wheelchair. Do you know anything about your client, about his physical state, his health, his mental state?
Frankly, I've seen what you've seen, which is I saw it appears that he has limited mobility. My understanding is that he had difficulty hearing. It also seemed that he had difficulty understanding the judge. So I have some of the same concerns that anyone else might have looking at a person whose competence might be in question. As anyone who knows anything about the law knows, the very first step is to ensure that your client is competent. You can't move forward otherwise. So one of the basic tenets of my criminal defense of Mr. Siders is going to make sure that he's competent to even stand trial, let alone any of the other defenses we might raise. So I guess the short answer is no, I haven't been able to talk to him yet. I don't know anything other than what everyone else has seen, which is what happened at the arraignment, what took place there, et cetera, et cetera.
Tell me Tony Stolley, the attorney for Elizabeth Siders, I saw him in an interview, and he said that her first question was, where are my kids? She wanted to know where her children were. It wasn't how much time am I facing or anything like that. Have you had any discussions with the other attorneys in this case regarding their clients and their reactions to this?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some, again, brief initial discussions with the other attorneys. At this point, it's obviously we are all representing the individual interests of our individual clients, but they are a family, so it's my gut feeling that in many cases their interests will overlap. So I have had some discussions with the other attorneys, specifically again about some of that very preliminary discovery that we've all received and what our general thoughts are. I sort of make it a point not to talk to other attorneys about their client-attorney conversations, as that is, of course, privileged information and confidential. But it's not surprising to me that a mother would ask about the condition of her children, bearing in mind that, these are people minding their own business, and a litany of officers come rushing in with guns and arrest them. Don't let them, check on their kids first. I can imagine someone like that being concerned about their children.
Gary Siders Jr., your client's son, faces 4 counts of public indecency. He's accused of exposing himself to people who were not his family. We know about that, but law enforcement has been tight-lipped about what initially brought them to that house, the search warrant that was being executed. Those documents are sealed. Do you know anything about this parallel investigation that brought Ohio BCI and the Sheriff's Department to the Siders' home?
Unfortunately, I don't. And as you sort of alluded to, it would seem pretty odd for a couple of misdemeanor counts of indecent exposure.
Yeah, the prosecution's gonna mop this dude.
Generate the type of response that happened at this house. I would also be very interested to see what this search warrant said, what the basis for the search warrant was, how they were able to obtain such a search warrant, because I have a hard time believing, first of all, if all it was an arrest warrant, then none of this could have happened. So clearly it wasn't just those charges.
Bro, you're a weak-ass lawyer.
Asked for Mr. Siders Jr. to come out, and that would have been the end of it. So obviously there was more there. I'm sure that
weak-ass
I and all
lawyer.
my other colleagues who are representing the co-defendants will all be very interested to see what the basis for the search warrant was.
So your next step, obviously, is to go to the jail in Southeast Ohio, meet with Gary Siders Sr., and meet your client, talk to him, and see what he has to say.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the first step, again, is ensuring that he is competent. That's going to be a concern just based on what I myself have been able to view in the public, and the same thing the public has seen. And then make sure I explain to him the process, the procedure. I don't really know what Mr. Siders' criminal history is like, or what involvement he's had with the court system. So after I determine he is competent, if in fact he is, which again, that is a question at this point, but if I'm able to determine that he is competent, and even if he's not, my best attempt is going to be to explain the process, the procedure, what the next steps are. And again, as we sort of talked about earlier, the state's burden to go before a grand jury and bring some sort of evidence to attempt to get an indictment.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. We're as interested as you are. We might be more interested, but we're interested to learn what the basis for the search warrant was, why they went in there, the actual condition of the children, and much more. Dorian Baum, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate having me on here. I'll be happy to talk with you again.
The 4 Siders family members remain in the regional jail in Southeast Ohio. Each is being held on a $300,000 bond. No word yet on whether more charges